just wasn't dynamic for the kids with the elk rut.
Yeah. Turtle get to hear some bulls bugle though?
Yeah, like one or two. Yeah, nothing close though, where you can get him going back and forth. None of that stuff. But we heard a couple, and he'd get excited. Dad, there's an elkie.
I've talked to a lot of people in the last week that are like, man, it's just slow. None of the elk are talking, and I'm like, well, it is like September 6th. You know what I mean? Like we're not really into prime time yet.
Early,
like we're still early. Like I know that there's always that drive to.
And I don't know what this would have to do with it, like scientifically, but anecdotally, you look at, like when I look at it this year, this is the first time there's no moon right on the equinox than there has been in like the last 5, 6, 7 years, or whatever it's been. And I don't know if that is making it later, like more towards that 15th or what, but like it seems like when it's full moon, then like last year was just dead full moon on September like 12th or something. I can't remember exactly. And so we hunted at Labor Day with my wife, and they were going nuts, but there was no moon over Labor Day. I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
You're saying this year, what, the 23rd is kind of the day. That's what they're saying, the 23rd.
Yeah.
I know that
there is 0% moon on September 14th this year.
Yeah.
0%.
Yeah. Still early.
It is early.
Yeah.
But it's 2 weeks later than Labor Day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know, man. Different years are just weird. I know. Like I think back to like I had a tag in Utah in like 01 or 02, and I think I killed a bull like might have been like the 11th or 12th, and I think I heard one bugle that entire hunt.
Yeah.
You know, and I shot a bull that was with cows, but not
doing anything.
And satellite bulls kind of hanging around, but just, you know, not bugling, nothing.
Yeah. So we got into one pile of elk. Somebody must have bumped him. You know that you know where I was hunting, that whole big burn, that whole ridge line.
Yep.
So we were fishing actually, and the fishing was incredible because of that low pressure system, all the stormy clouds, cold as can be. The fishing was nuts.
Good.
It was nuts. My son caught his first fish from start to finish. Kind of a fluke, but it counts. I mean, it did count.
Snagged it?
No, he's got one of those little clicker reels because he's young and he's like trying to find the timing.
Sure.
But the fishing was so good. I mean, the second that he can't reel it fast enough to keep that lure spinning. And so like right when the lure hit the water, a fish snatched it. Like it just didn't even care what it was. He just saw the splash and snatched it.
Yep.
And so I wasn't thinking much of it. I was trying to catch fish to hand him the reel. He's like, Dad, I think I have one. I look over and his rod's bent. It was actually a pretty good fish. And then he reeled it all the way in, the whole thing. So
is he pretty excited?
Oh. It took a lot of negotiation to get him to put it back. Like, it's got to go back. You don't get to keep it.
You did have him put it back?
And he finally did.
He did.
Said, I have my kids pictures, I have video, all this stuff.
You want to eat it?
I mean,
that's what my kids are always like, I want to eat it. I'm like, you don't want to eat that.
You don't want to eat it. Come on.
Yeah. It's not a fish you want to eat, but
he just kept looking at it and wouldn't stop. But anyways, he lived. We got it negotiated well with the 4-year-old, and I won that one thing.
Yeah.
But while we were fishing, like, I don't know, an hour after that, I see just a pile of elk wrapping around that burn at the very top underneath those cliffs.
Yep.
I'm like, oh shit, they got bumped hard. And I kind of, we've hunted it so much, I kind of figured where they were going to go is back into the live timber, that strip of live timber that goes back up the other side. I'm like, let's hurry up and get over there. We'll hop in the side by side. We'll get there and then we'll hike into that live timber. So we get over there and we did cut them off. We cut them off really well, but like, because I had a spike tag, just the over-the-counter spike tag, so I was thinking maybe we could go kill a spike. Why not? It's fun for the kids, middle of the day, everyone's awake, like whatever. Don't have to wake up early or anything. So we pile in there, and all these elk start coming by. And there was one bull that was probably 330 maybe, like nothing crazy, but just good bull, fun bull to look at. And then a handful of satellite bulls, like raghorn 5s, no bugles. Cows were bouncing off each other. Yeah, like they were because they were pushed and kind of had that like sporadic
keeping in contact with each other.
But the elk, the bulls, nothing, zero.
Yeah. They'll get going.
Yeah,
I hope.
I hope
they got a rut, right?
I'm headed out tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the day.
So let's hope.
Which is why we're here, right? Today.
Yep,
I decided we'd run down and do a podcast before everybody kind of takes off again. So I'm leaving the end of the week. Gonna run to Colorado. Brady's still out.
Brady's out.
Do we say anything about Brady? Brady's in Alaska. I've heard he's
Serbia. Brady's in
Serbia.
Serbia.
Brady's in Serbia. Yeah. Heard he's had a good trip.
Yeah, I've heard secondhand from our producer over here that he's
had a good trip
so far.
Yeah. He and I actually both same day had good luck.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was the same day.
Yeah, I got home that night late, and then I got back the next morning, got up and was just kind of putting some things together to run my deer down to the taxidermist, and got a message from Brady. And
he left me out, that little shit.
He did. Yeah, I got a message from Brady. Yeah. I think he's more just like, what's going on at home, you know?
Yeah,
like, what's everybody up to? But yeah, so we've had some success. You killed a buck. I killed a buck.
Yep.
We've got a GOHUNT original that's coming out Tuesday. So it'll release tomorrow, right? Today's Monday. What is the date today? The 11th? September 11th.
Oh, yep. The 11th. Never forget, man.
Yep. So tomorrow we have a new original coming out, which is my elk hunt from Utah. So we thought we'd just do a brief podcast where we all take off, maybe recap a little bit of my hunt from the film that's coming up, which we're calling Dog Days. And then just kind of talk about some of the other hunts we've been on already.
The sporadic weird ones that ended up being awesome.
Yeah. I guess before we get going, we're probably just gonna do some storytelling today, recap some hunts. We'll hit you with a promo so you guys can sign up for a GOHUNT Insider account. If you sign up using the promo podcast, we're going to give you 50 points back to the GOHUNT Gear Shop. If you sign up for a GOHUNT Maps membership, which is our Explorer, we're going to give you 20 points, which is $20 back to the GOHUNT Gear Shop. I was looking at, I'm always buying arrows. So
yeah,
you know, it seems like I've still got an elk tag. I've still got a late season, archery deer tag in Nevada. So I've gone through some arrows throughout all the summer, just flinging arrows. I took my
long range.
Yeah. Shooting some long range stuff. And then I took my oldest kid and my youngest kid up shooting. And, my oldest kid he shot a lot when he was a kid, but he hasn't shot for probably, I don't know, a couple of years. And I thought, you know, he's a big kid now. He's probably 170 pounds and, you know, 6'3". I thought he can start shooting a, you know, big, full compound. So I've got a bow that's set at 65 pounds. And so I got him into shooting it. And I think like the third arrow, he got almost a full draw, hit the trigger and lost an arrow. And then, that one went just off into the distance. And then for whatever reason, he got into his head, and I think he ended up losing 3 or 4 that day, which he kept being like, oh, I don't want to lose any more arrows, but I'm trying to encourage him and be like, you know, let's keep after it. You can do it, you know, no big deal. And then the very last one, kind of like the one that broke the camel's back, was he came to full draw and he was deep into the grip, like clear across his lifeline, you know, like the old death grip. And I was like, man, he's about to really scorch his forearm with that string. No, because then I said, hey, watch your grip, right as he punched it. So like,
what a good dad. What a good dad.
So he punched that one, sent that one over the target, but he was like, how many arrows, like how many dollars down are we in arrows right there? And I was like, well, for those 4, we're pretty significant. We're talking titanium inserts. We're talking, you know, but anyway, but after that he was done. So needless to say, buy new arrows still. There's still a lot of hunts coming up. You've got the rifle hunts going into October, so there's still a good time to pick up some GOHUNT gear.
Absolutely.
You got your gear all piled up, I saw. You're loaded.
I'm loaded. The only thing I got to pack food. I'm moving today.
Oh, you are? Well, in the midst of this?
I should say I'm not. My wife
is moving.
7-month pregnant wife, bless her. She is moving today. We should be in the house like today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I still have to pack my food because I've been dealing with moving a house. So yeah,
there are few things on the planet worse than moving.
And it's crazy. We were talking this weekend. It's like everything seems to happen at once, and I don't know why. You know what I mean? It just all falls. The way this all lined out, everything. For the last 2 weeks, I've been doing nothing but like training, shooting, just getting stuff like randomly together. Why couldn't the house be then? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like vice versa.
Yeah.
But it all fell to right now. Yeah. So.
Yeah, moving sucks.
Oh, it's horrible.
She gonna have to put everything away.
It's horrible.
She got help.
Yeah, I told her, you know, thankfully, and you know, I'm very fortunate, but I told her, like, look, I don't care what you spend on a moving service. Like, I'm not going hunting. I'm not going hunting. You're 7.5 months pregnant. Like, just manage the situation. You don't pick up anything. Like, just go get a moving service. I don't care what it costs you. Just get it moved. You know? So she can be comfortable too. So she doesn't have to wait on me for the next 12 days. You know, I'm living with my mother-in-law. So. And I tell everybody, I love my mother-in-law. I love her. She's the best. I got coffee. I got food.
Yeah.
I got like another assistant in there,
She's
right?
Taking care of you.
Oh, she helps with the kids. She's amazing, and I love her. Like I could live with my mother-in-law. Now you throw my wife and mother-in-law in the same house with me. Yeah. Then I just get thrown into the shit all day long. Yeah. Whose side I'm on, all this stuff. So that's what I could do without. Is that part.
And you can just let things lie till you get home, and then get things put away and get sorted out.
I told her to leave my stuff so she doesn't have to worry about it.
That's the hard part about September. When it happens, it happens. And you've got that window, and it's just like, if you don't capitalize and take time with it, then you're a whole other year until it comes back around again.
The move-in date is September. We're shooting for tomorrow, so the 12th, move in all of our stuff over today, get situated, and then tomorrow actually move in. September 12th. I knew immediately. You're like, this when that date was thrown out, I'm like, I'm not here. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, it'll all work out.
Yeah.
So you're headed you and Omar.
Me and young Omar.
Young Omar. Mm-hmm. How's Omar doing? He's excited.
Yeah, he's been doing good. We've been doing a lot of shooting, a lot of rucking. I mean, that's all I can do, obviously. So
how are you feeling as far as
I would
physical?
I would say I'm a solid 80%, like solid.
Yeah.
Not. I wouldn't say I'm even close to 100, but somewhere between 80 and 90%. I feel
pack feels okay though.
Yeah,
shooting a bow feels all right.
We did Turtlehead Peak, which is 2,022 feet of vertical, and then our hike into New Mexico I think is just shy of 3,000, so it's relatively close.
Longer distance.
Way longer distance.
Yeah, you'd be fine.
Yeah, and I felt good. I felt really good, and I did it with full. I actually was a little bit overloaded from my pack weight, trailhead pack weight. I did it like 58 pounds, and then my trailhead pack weight's like right at 48.5. So I felt good. I felt really good.
Bow shooting good?
Bow shooting fantastic.
There you go.
Thanks to you.
There you go.
Thanks to you, big dog.
No, it's always the guy behind the bow. I've seen a lot of bows that are completely out of tune. The guys shoot phenomenally well. It's just the guy that
got to know it.
Yeah, I mean, you get to know your equipment and you shoot it well. You just shoot it well.
It's shooting phenomenal though.
Give you a lot of confidence then. Yeah, that's the best.
Well, then that buck that I shot, that gave me a ton of confidence too. A ton of confidence.
Yeah, that's the best, right?
Yeah,
you get like a little pregame. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about your buck.
Okay,
I want to hear about your buck. So you killed a cool buck.
Awesome buck.
He's got a funky main beam.
He's got an extra beam. I mean, it doesn't wrap like a beam, but it comes out of the pedicle, and it's just like looks like a G2 almost, but because it doesn't like wrap like a beam would. But there are two beams out of the pedicle. Okay. That one just doesn't wrap with the other one. Yeah, makes sense. Like he's got a normal horn, and then he's got another beam coming out of the pedicle that's like behind it.
Have you seen that one floating around on social media? A guy killed a buck, and the one side is full velvet, and the other side is hard horned. Like he's hard horned, and then he's got a bunch of like antlers kind of growing out around the base of it that are in velvet.
No,
I've seen probably 2 or 3 pictures of
it. Is it a big deer?
It's not a giant deer, but it's a cool, a nice buck, probably 160-ish looking frame. But like, it's weird because it looks to me like he's probably shed the one side and then regrown that side back, which is in full velvet. And then the other side, for whatever reason, looks like it's never shed, and then it grew in around it. So there's like points coming around it that are in full velvet. Shit. It is a weird looking buck.
Never seen it.
Yeah,
I have no clue.
And I don't know what would cause that. I don't know why it would shed. I
want to see it. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it. But yeah, weird.
Sounds awesome.
That reminded me of your buck when I saw it, but I didn't. I mean, yours is full velvet, right?
Yeah, full velvet. And I honestly, I no shame, but like I didn't know what it was. That's not what that hunt was to me.
Yeah,
I had a general archery deer tag, which is pretty easy to get. Wasn't expecting much, and I had a over the counter spike tag. And Labor Day has been my family's. It's becoming a very special holiday for me and my family.
You took the whole family.
Yeah,
it looked like you had your wife, your kid.
That's what we did the last 2 elk hunts.
Do you have your niece with you?
Had my niece with us.
Is that your wife's?
So my wife's cousin.
Okay.
But they are sisters.
Yeah.
I mean, like legitimately sisters. That's why we call her our niece.
So you got your wife, and 2 kids in tow.
And then Kylie and Bubba, which are Clay's parents, my niece's parents. Gotcha. And so like there is 4 adults and 2 kids.
You guys are hunting as a troop.
And we are rolling through the elk woods. And my whole thought was going into this was like, man, we've hunted this on a bull tag with my wife when we had those tags the last couple of years. And how many I've called in, I don't even know how many spikes. Like that was always the fun with the kids. Is the spikes will come in and almost like the kids will talk, and the spike almost gets like more curious.
Yeah, and Braden, have you talked to Braden in our office? So Braden and his wife both killed spikes, and the one I think he said that he called in a group of 5 spikes together, and that was before Labor Day. I was just like, oh man, they must be rolling. They must be after it.
That's what I was thinking. So I thought we were spike hunting, and I had a general deer tag just in case, but there's not a lot of deer there.
Yeah.
Especially when the elk start rolling. All the deer vanish once the elk start rolling.
Like, this is too noisy. Yeah. We're getting out of here.
Yeah. Like they just, they kind of beat feet out of town. So
frat party, I'm out of here.
So, I mean, I thought I was going to call in a spike. Like my son has been on a lot of hunts with us, and he's seen some stuff get killed with a gun. He's watched my wife kill deer, antelope, a couple deer, couple antelope, suppressed gun. So like he can see it, sits there, watches it.
Sure.
But he hasn't seen an arrow break hit, he hasn't
the whole
seen
process,
that,
Yeah.
And so I was really focused on like, man, I really want to call in a spike because the kids can be a little noisy. It's not going to matter. The spike will, every
curious.
Other year I've done the last 3 years, they get more curious when the kids start talking.
Do you remember that spike you and I called in New Mexico?
Yes.
That came into like 5 feet?
Right there. That's what I was expecting.
He would come in and look at us,
yes,
and then walk to the right, then turn around, walk back.
To the left,
he'd cow call. He'd come back. I was just like, oh man, spikes.
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
And that did not happen. The elk were non-existent, and the spikes that we did find, they were just in a pile of cows. Like I just told that story about fish, and they were just there was 150 cows, and there was a good amount of spikes, but they weren't
weren't breaking the herd to come check
calls,
out.
Nothing. Elk weren't bugling. And the deer, actually, there was this is more deer that I have seen there in a very long time. Like they've stuck. The late rut has kept them there longer. I don't really know.
I think there's quite a few deer where you were hunting. I've been going through that country. I had to put new brakes on my truck on Saturday for that reason, because there's probably 2 different times I completely locked them up on the highway there for deer.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. One morning I about collected a doe and 2 fawns. I mean, I came within a whisper, and it was full tilt, lock them up. I mean, like to the floor. And then, I had to go. I called
new brakes after that. I called my cousin.
Yeah, Saturday, called your cousin, went up in there, and I was like, hey, you got somebody that can put new brakes? And they were like, anyway, new rotors and pads.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of locking up.
Yeah, locked them up. So this does seem like there's a few more deer.
More than I can remember or have seen up there in a long time.
Yeah. So you guys are just out traipsing around and looking.
So needless to say, it turned into a deer hunt really fast. And the deer were out. The weather, huge low pressure system, cold as can be,
rainy.
No sunlight. And so the deer were up. They were super active. So we were hunting them. I mean, it felt like basically all day. We'd go back and get some lunch, but then just, go mess around in the elk woods. Bought my son and my niece those little Nerf bows.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
Are they shooting everything?
They shot every squirrel.
That's a good idea.
Chipmunk, bird.
Shot at them.
Shot at the horses, everything. They shot at everything. And I've kind of liked, because they had that
mentality. Yeah, they're out bow hunting.
Wanted to go after them.
That's a good idea. I like that idea.
Let's go.
Yeah,
it was my wife's idea.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was brilliant. It was so much fun to watch them do that, and it made the slow elk hunting, like we were still trying. I wanted to kill a spike. That's what I was really after. Just call one in, the whole thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, we went back into that live timber patch the day after I told you those elk wrapped into that, and I was going back to see if those elk had stayed in that canyon back there, and there was quite a bit of pressure. I'd seen a bunch of people hunting, like they love that live timber. When there's a lot of pressure, it's real thick. So anyways, the next day, we hunted the morning and, saw a bunch of 2 points and little 3 points. I didn't really want to, I could have killed a couple, but no rush,
Sure.
So about 9:30, 10 a.m., I'm like, let's go.
Are you just still hunting?
No.
You're sitting in Glasston?
Yeah, we're driving to like points and then getting out of the side by side and like walking, I don't know, any 400 or 500 yards away and calling, seeing if anything happens, like far enough away from the road that there could be something to return, but not, we're not like pounding timber.
Yeah.
So the day we're going after those elk the day after, and we get to kind of where like the flat ends, start walking into the timber. Like it starts to get like that real shadow, that real canopied shadow live timber. And Kylie, my niece's mom, Kylie, goes, "What's that over there?" And I look over, and this buck's standing by a huge pine tree, massive pine tree, and he's got his right horn sticking out.
Do you have everybody with you?
Right next to me.
You're all standing there as a group.
6 of us. But
and she looks over and is like, "Hey, what's that?"
What's that? Yeah, and the deer's staring at us, and I can see his right horn, and it's a clear 3-point, but wider, bigger, eye guards, bigger than everything I had seen.
Yeah.
I don't want to kill a yearling or any of that. And I'm like, okay, this deer's at least a year older than everything we've seen, at least that much older. And I pick up my binos. I'm like, oh yeah, it's a good deer. I'm like, everyone just take a knee, just be quiet, range them. Not a close shot because I got 6 people with us.
Sure.
And this is a big confidence builder going into elk too, but I've been shooting so much this year. I always tell you and Brady, like, I don't like to shoot a lot because I develop bad habits.
I think you've shot more this year than I've ever.
Yeah. And it's the sheep hunt that's
in your
my
mindset.
Mind. It's not so much this elk hunt. It's the sheep hunt that's in my mind of like making sure everything is just so dialed. And I've been shooting long distances this year a lot because of I'm thinking that's most likely what's going to happen with the sheep.
You liking shooting? Are you liking it? Like, do you enjoy the
I'm enjoying it.
Is it more of like a means to an end, or do you like the process of like shooting arrows?
I hate myself to admit it, but I'm liking it. Yeah. It's enjoyable.
It is, man.
It's really enjoyable.
It's the best.
Especially the long range.
Especially long range stuff.
Yeah.
When the arrow breaks perfectly and you hit center.
Yeah.
Like I've been shooting pop cans, man, when you get that audible feedback, it's just
what I want to start doing when you said that.
Dude,
but I've been playing this game where I start at 40. I'm shooting like probably like 7-inch by 7-inch. It's like a silhouette on a block target of a deer, but the Killzone, the blacked out Killzone is probably like 7-inch by 7-inch. And I'm playing this game where I start at 40 and hit the kill. Every time I hit the Killzone, I move back 10 yards.
I know this game well. Yeah.
And I'm trying to I get to 110 and see how many arrows it takes me to get to 110.
Yep.
And so that's this game I've been playing is like, can I beat yesterday?
Yeah.
How many arrows?
Can I do it in less arrows?
Yep, exactly. So I've been doing that a lot. And so I've been shooting 110 is my furthest distance I've been shooting. And so anyways, the deer is standing there looking. I see 77 yards. I range him. He's 77. I'm like, I can shoot him. Everyone be quiet. Just let me. And I was like amped up because this is what I wanted. I mean, granted, it's a deer, not a spike. But like everyone can see the deer. Everyone is literally right at my feet.
Yeah.
The
How
draw,
cool, man.
The arrow snap, everything. So in my mind, I'm like, hurry up, because I don't want him to. So in my mind, I'm like rushing.
Is he broadside?
He's quartered away.
Gotcha.
More broadside than quartered, but he's quartered away.
Ever so slightly quartered away.
Yeah, and I love that shot.
Yeah, it's a great shot.
That's a massive kill zone when they give you that angle. And that's why I'm like, I can shoot. I can make the shot. So I told him I'll be quiet. My son was locked in, which was so awesome to see. Like
everybody quiet?
Quiet, locked in. The difference between 3 years old and 4 years old is
big.
Monumental.
And he can see the deer?
Oh, everything.
Oh, wow.
He's the one pointing. He's like, Daddy. He's pointing at it. And I'm like, yeah, hold on. And so when I drew, I mentally was like, calm down. Like, you don't need to rush it.
Yeah.
Don't rush the shot. Like, calm down. And that was a nice little, like, okay. I'm not lost.
Do you know what's interesting is I was actually, so I shot this deer and we'll get into it. And I shot that elk that we'll talk about in the video. And then I shot this deer by myself, totally by myself. And then the other animals I've shot, I've had camera guys with me, or buddy. I actually think for whatever reason, like having somebody with you or a cameraman with you, it kind of slows you down.
Yeah.
To me, it feels like, okay, I have to make this shot. It almost feels like, I don't know. It's kind of a weird feeling. Like I feel like I slow way down. I feel like I'm a whole hell of a lot more deliberate when I've got somebody watching than I am.
When I was anchored in my mind, I'm like, slow down. Everyone's here. I've got to make this shot.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. And I mentally, and then in my head, I'm like, okay, you're not checked out. Like focus. And so I had control of my mind at that point. And I just, settled the pin. The arrow broke. It was a great shot. I knew immediately right when I released it, just like we talked about, like when an arrow breaks and immediately, just in your mind, you're like, yep. I had my sight dialed perfectly, 77. I've dialed it to 75. It was at 77. I'm like, as soon as it broke, I'm like, perfect. But I actually hit him like, I'm not saying I'm a great shot by any means. There's a lot of luck in this. I actually hit him like absolutely perfect in the heart.
Oh.
So he ran like...
Did you do the mule kick?
So he did a huge jump mule kick and ran like 30 yards and did the backflip tip
over.
Oh, yeah. So the kids got to see that
the whole thing.
Yes. So it was awesome. So
oh my gosh.
My son's like, Dad, he ran and he went like this. I'm like,
he saw the whole thing.
I'm like, yeah, buddy, that means we got him. Like we got him.
That's crazy.
And then the other great part about that too is the blood trail. So even though we saw him go down, the kids are so, I mean, they were,
you get to go through that whole process.
She's 7, he's 4. They already forgot about like where they watched the deer go down. So I got to go up there. I'm like, okay, we have to find my arrow. Caked in blood. And I'm like, okay, now we have to find the blood trail. And then the 2 little kids, 4 and 7 years old, going through, oh, there's blood. Oh, there's blood. That's
really
awesome.
Cool.
I wish it was a spike, obviously, but ended up being a deer. And the whole process, like that is what I wanted though. Barring not being a spike and it being a deer, that's exactly what I wanted. Everyone to see the arrow draw in the moment, the arrow break, the animal react,
blood
run
trail.
off, blood trail, the whole thing. And we walked up on the blood trail and he was kind of piled up because he did that backflip. So his head was kind of piled underneath his body. And I pulled out that horn. I'm like, it's on film too. I'm like, I wasn't expecting that. It's got the extra beam coming out the other side. I'm like, holy shit, this thing is cool as hell.
Yeah. And I can't remember when I saw the picture, but that was the first thing. I was like, oh, that's funky. The buck's got something funky going on.
Awesome. It was awesome. Now my son is begging me to get in his bedroom because we're moving. We keep telling him he's going to have the best bedroom ever, the whole thing. Sure. Get him excited about moving.
You get him out it?
I'm Euro mounting it.
With the velvet? Keep the velvet?
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah. Right over his bed. I told you, yep, this one's yours.
That's
you can
really
have
cool.
it in your room. So it was awesome.
Yeah, blood trailings. My last episode, I just on the Game Trail podcast that I did a whole thing on just like reactions of the animal and like what the arrow can tell you about the animal, and like that's why I was curious is like just the reaction of the animal. Like
huge mule kick.
Heart shot is typically that big mule deer, big mule kick, and then
a real fast runoff, and then that tip over backwards.
Yep,
exactly that.
That's really cool that your kid and niece, everybody got to see it.
It was awesome.
That's awesome.
And I made the shot, so I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
And instead of my son being like, Dad, what happened?
Yeah.
So
and you're shooting Montec G5s, right?
Montec G5s.
Fixed blade head.
It's all I've ever shot since
Everything
day one.
Shot awesome.
Yeah.
That's good, man. It's a good vote of confidence going into more hunts.
I told Cody, we were filming a gear list. And I said, back when I was young enough to get dumb tattoos like broadheads, I got a Montec tattooed on my wrist. So I have to shoot Montecs. I don't have a choice.
That's right. Montec for life.
Montecs for life, man.
It's a good head.
I'm branded.
It's a solid built head.
Can't do without it.
And if you can get it to fly, I mean, that's one thing is like, if you take a 70-yard shot and you've got a fixed blade head and it hits right behind the pen, I mean, it just gives you a great vote of confidence in your abilities, and also just like the tune on the bow and the equipment and everything.
That's the other. I know it's expensive, but I only shoot broadheads.
Oh, okay.
That's all I.
So you've only been practicing with broadheads?
Yeah, I go through block targets quick. Like they take a beat.
You probably go through some arrows too, veins.
And I go through some arrows.
Yeah. Yeah, I Robin Hooded one. I saw you Robin. You out Robin
Hooded
one.
Closest I've ever been.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I posted that on Instagram. It's I don't know how it didn't though.
Yeah,
because it was inside that collar. It was inside that gold collar, but because it was a broadhead, it probably just snapped that. I don't know.
Blade angle maybe popped out. Yeah, I Robin Hooded one with mechanical, and it went right down the back end of it, and like it went clear to the insert on the other arrow, and just sparks. It was pretty cool. It also sucks because you're like, well, there went another arrow.
I'm even losing that arrow it wasn't even a full Robin Hood. I'm like, I'm good with losing that.
I have mixed emotions because I shoot groups and I shoot every day, but like I'll probably Robin Hood. I don't know. A lot of them are close range, 20 yarders, or I'll probably Robin Hood 6 or 7, maybe a summer. But it used to be like,
you're a better shot than me.
I don't know. Well, it's like I said, most of them are close. And then the other thing that really pisses me off is when you Robin Hood an arrow and it's like not in the dot. So like you have one arrow that's outside the dot and then another arrow that Robin Hood's that arrow and it's outside the dot. And you're like, I want to feel good about this Robin Hood, but it's not in the dot. So that kind of sucks. But yeah, I've gotten to the point where if I Robin Hood an arrow, I'm kind of pissed off about it because I'm like, shit,
I need my first one.
You just got to shoot groups at 20 yards. That's the ticket.
That honestly, and I don't shoot at 20. I start at 40.
Long.
I start at 40 and work my way back. And usually it's 1 or 2 arrows at 40, and then I already start working back.
You're shooting 5 pins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Still feel good about 5.
That XL.
Yeah, XL. And it's a
this, hold on.
AccuStat.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. 5 pen. Yeah. This is the first year I've shot. So I shot, I'm shooting that new UltraView sight.
I want to switch to that after
slider.
this year.
Yeah, the pin's on the multi-pin, so they have the 3-pin housing, and then they have like a bottom stationary pin, so it's essentially like a 4-pin. But the top 3 pins are 15 pins, and then the bottom pin's a 10 pin, and my eyes are just too old. I just can't see it, so I had to, yeah. So I got a double pin for that one, and then I used just like a little white paint and made myself a 3rd dot. But
on the actual sight housing,
actually on the pin, so it's got an up pin.
Oh, so you're just a little bit down from that.
Yeah, so I've got a 1, 2. I've got fiber pins for my 1 and my 2, and then the 3rd I just made a little dot for like a 3rd reference point. And I found myself, hunting deer, and then I was seeing elk and stuff. But I remember a couple times thinking, I just am so used to a 5-pin sight. I remember thinking like I kind of missed that 5-pin. I just really like reference points, especially for elk, because you just never know when they're going to come in. And
absolutely.
I think for a mule deer, in a lot of cases like this buck I shot, you have the opportunity to dial the sight, and I think it's awesome for that. But I do kind of miss the 5 pins.
I'm so weird with the whole archery thing. For me, it goes against every other part of my personality nature. Mm-hmm. I love new shit. I'm always changing. Like, I love new shit. You guys know this about me. I'm always, but for whatever reason, archery, I cannot change. I don't like it. I like that 5-pin. I like the slider sight. I like how it all works. I like the Halen X. I like the G5s.
Yep.
And I can't get myself to switch.
Yeah, I shot this buck, and I had several people comment like, "Oh, you're shooting the V3X," and I've got a Phase 4, which is this year's bow. But for whatever reason, I'm kind of like you, and then I just have so much confidence in this V3X that I've got. Like I ended up shooting it, and I shot both of those bows all summer. So I'd shoot like one day and one the other, and I thought, both of them shot good, but like ultimately that V3X, and sometimes I think it's just the individual bow. Mm-hmm. But for whatever reason, I just feel like I cannot miss with that bow.
I have a V3X in my office that's fully outfitted. It's a beautiful bow. Looks amazing. I have it just it just sits on my stand next to my desk, but I can't shoot it compared to the Halon.
Yeah,
I just don't like it.
Halon X.
So it's just sat in my office, fully outfitted. It's ready to rock, like ready to go.
Do you have the thing like where you go in your head, you're like, oh, but this is the new bow. I need to shoot it. I need to play with it.
Every other part of my life, yes, but not bows.
But not bows. Yeah. Yeah, you definitely got to feel like you have like the most confidence that you can in your equipment.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just get a bow and you feel it.
Man, I love that thing. Love it.
Good
but yeah,
deal.
anyways, it's not a big buck by any means, but it was a damn special buck. Yeah. And it's going right in my son's room. So
he's pumped.
It was awesome. It was honestly awesome.
Yeah.
That was incredible for us. And then, like I said, Labor Day is quickly becoming my family's very special weekend. We've killed 2 bulls in a row on Labor Day weekend with my son. Not him seeing it get hit, but like the recovery with my son and him being, there with us listening to bugles, all that. Now it's a special weekend.
He's got to be fully hooked.
Oh, he's hooked. You'll never hear me complain one time about how hooked he is, but he is damn hooked.
I was interested in your wife. Is your wife kind of missing? I mean, she's 7 months pregnant. The last 2 years, I guess, right? She's been hunting elk this time of year. Any sense for her? Like, is she missing it at all?
We couldn't.
Is she jonesing?
It's too physical for how far along pregnancy she was this year.
Oh, for sure.
10,000 feet elevation.
Yeah.
We live in Vegas, like not high elevation, obviously. So we kind of, we put the pause on it this year. And all she could talk about is how I'm an elk person. I don't even know how you could shoot these deer. I'm an elk person. I don't. Why are we hunting these deer? I'm an elk person.
I liked her.
Okay, we are locked in.
She's kind of missing it. Then.
Oh, she beyond missed it.
She'll be back at it next year.
Oh yeah, next year we're right back at it.
That's the hard part. I've said it before. I wish elk. I wish they rutted 2 or 3 times a year. Mm-hmm. Wish they were like sheep, right? You get one in like February, maybe one in September. That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
But they don't. just
Sadly,
once. Just once,
but
unfortunately.
She is a full-blown elk hunter. Like, that's all she cares about.
Are you guys going to go back up like when you get back from your hunts to just like spend some time and like hear elk?
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for.
Your dad going hunting?
Yeah, my dad's hunt opens the 20th this year, right? Because it got pushed back.
Yep.
So that opens
a little later.
Yep.
You guys go up and kind of help out and hear bulls bugle maybe?
If I'm back in time from New Mexico, because they both end the same day. But if I'm even back, it ends the 24th. If I'm back on the 23rd, I'll just swing through, pick up my wife and kid and go just up. One day. Yeah.
It is cool to hear them bugle.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the absolute best.
Well, I had some luck.
That's what I was going to get into you.
Yeah.
Because my hunt was very family oriented. And
yeah, that's one thing. I always feel selfish. It's something I wrestle with quite a bit, actually. My wife texted me on the way down today, and because I hunt a lot on my own, and I should be better about trying to get, and I do. I'm gonna, my kids.
You've been taking your kids like crazy though.
No, I mean not a ton, but I take them out in the summer and shoot, and I do need to get my kids out more for sure.
You've been taking. The other part of that, though, is they're in sports. They're in high school.
It's not
like they can go all the time.
Yeah, I ran back mid-hunt to like watch 2 soccer games on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do, like my oldest has got some tags this year, and so I'm going to throw the 3 of them in the truck and we'll go out and just chase. But I'm
plenty selfish too.
I don't know. I'm pretty. The older I get, the more I look back on like all the hunting that I have done, and I'm like, man, I'm kind of selfish when it comes to hunting.
In the next month and a half, my wife's 7.5 months pregnant, and I have a 4-year-old. In the next month and a half, I have an equal amount of days in the backcountry in a tent as I do at home in my bed.
Really?
Yes.
Did you tell her that?
Oh, she knows. She's well aware.
Oh man.
So I mean, I just put it in on the front end.
That's crazy when you think about it, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I killed a good buck. I mean, I don't even know what to say. Probably best buck I'll ever shoot, I think.
Not if I know you.
I don't know. I've texted my brother and we were exchanging text messages, and I said, yeah, I think this is probably the best buck I'll ever kill. And he's just like, oh, I'll never say never. I'm like, it's really hard.
That's what you said about your muzzleload buck.
I know, but it's hard to think I could ever kill a buck better than this. So
yours is a real hardcore story, which is the most impressive part of it. Let's start at the beginning. So
I was born a baby.
Well, we had been talking on the podcast that you've been looking.
Yeah.
You've been out there. You have a dedicated hunter tag, and you've been out looking, but you just haven't found one to get the ball rolling. I don't know how long ago you sent me the video, but that's when it started.
Yes, I had been out looking, and I didn't have a ton of days in the summer to scout. I'd probably only put like maybe a couple weekends, just like Saturdays, Sundays, so like a Saturday morning and evening, and then maybe a Friday night. And I'd seen a buck, so I had a ridge and a couple big. I'm trying to decide how much to say here, but I had a couple canyons.
I mean, it's a general tag, so hide as much as you want.
Yeah, general season tag, but I had these 2 big canyons, and I've got this ridge that kind of runs between the 2 of them. And it's been probably 4 or 5 years ago. I'd spent some time glassing that country and hunting that country, and that side of the unit or that of the mountain, I haven't spent as much time as I have on the other side. And so I'd seen a buck. It was during the bow hunt, and he was a big buck, and I just kind of put it in my back pocket. And so,
is that when you sent me the video?
No, this has been a number of years ago. But
sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. But then, so I kind of always kept this country in my back pocket, and it's real glassable. I mean, and a lot of people know about it. It's real open country. I mean, it's big burn blew through there 20 years ago, and so it's relatively glassable. There's a lot of like aspen regen though, a lot of edge. So I'd seen a buck, and I knew he was going to be a big buck, but like, we were talking this year, when you're early July, it's like, how big is that buck going to be? Like, that looks like a good buck, but how truly big is that buck going to be?
Are they growers or showers?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So I remember thinking at the time, like, oh, great, good buck, but maybe not a giant buck. I just, don't know, but I'm going to kind of keep it in my back pocket. And, if I haven't found anything else, I'm going to put more time and attention into that. So then, fast forward to the hunt rolling up, got into the hunt. I was kind of still looking. I'd gone back to that area and looked, and then ended up getting, I ran into a buddy, and he's like, hey, here's some video. He shows me sends me the video, and he's like, this buck is supposedly on that unit. He's like, I don't know much about it. I don't know anything about it. He'd got it from another buddy. And I'm like, I think that's the same buck that I'm looking for. And he's like, I don't know exactly, but he's like, I kind of think maybe general area. And I was like, that's where I'm at. I was literally sitting on
that spot.
That spot. Like I was there. And I'm like, well, that's where I am, you know? And so kept looking, and kept looking, and then, you know, kind of progressed through the hunt. I'm hunting weekends. You know, I'd leave work on, you know, Friday afternoon, and I'd run over, or I'd get up Saturday morning, like 2:30 in the morning, and run over and hike. And, you know, I'm looking for that buck. I can't really find him. I'm seeing other bucks. Checked out a bunch of different areas and kind of couldn't, you know, I was seeing bucks, but just not seeing that buck, you know?
That's when you were sending Brady video and not me. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Why not?
Yeah,
and you're like, well, if I send you, it has to be big. I'm like, why? I like looking at deer.
Yeah.
And then it seemed like one day after I got a video sent. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. So I'd seen some 160s, 170s, but then, you know, this buck. And then, you know, I guess fast forward to, you know, like last week, I'd pretty well carved out. And I've always said this, like, I feel like you have to have just like consistent days. Like, I think it's great if you got like 1 or 2 days on a weekend, you know, maybe a Saturday, Sunday, or a Monday, or a Friday, Saturday, Sunday to put into it. But I think you really have to start to get like 4 or 5 days at a time to like start to figure things out. Right.
Completely agree.
So I'd scheduled, you know, I left, I think last Friday, and I had Friday, and I was going to take that whole week essentially to go out and, you know, really bow hunt and try to find a buck or this buck. So yeah, I was, you know, up looking, and I was starting to look at the landscape and trying to get an idea on where could this buck be? 'Cause I just hadn't seen him, you know? And, I kept thinking, I mean, if you got a buck, you think he's a big buck. I think just by the nature of what I think of a big deer, you always think like that buck's going to be like steep and deep. You think
always,
you think he's not
furthest away, deepest pocket.
Yeah, he's not going to be somewhere where I'm going to be able to like easily glass him. You know, I think he's going to be somewhere steep and deep. And so those are the kinds of areas I was looking. You know, I was looking down in these pockets and canyons, and I was like, these two drainages, I was really just like picking them apart from different areas. And anyway, I ended up talking to a guy, elk hunters, a lot of elk hunters up there, and he's like, hey, I jumped a buck this morning, and he's like, I think he was a pretty good buck. I was like, okay. And so I started looking at the landscape kind of based on where he was at and his truck was parked. And I started looking at it, and I thought, you know, I don't think it's possible, but maybe, you know, 'cause like this isn't that far from a main road. And I thought, you know, tonight I'm going to backpack around the back side of it and kind of get over to where I can look back. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm looking back towards the road. Which
hike off the road,
to then look back towards the road. You know what I mean? Counterintuitive, and especially for this type of deer, you know? So I did that, got up in there that evening, sat down, and like sunset. So I'm looking, you know, I was looking essentially into the sun the whole evening, and then the sun sets, and I mean, it's dark. Like you know, it's like dark. You can't really see what you're looking at, but you can kind of see, you know, movement. So I see a couple of bucks, and they're working through this aspen region, and it's just dog hair thick, but I can tell that they're bucks because, you know, one, I can see frame, and then I can see that they're just real gray. So, you know, all the bucks are pretty well grayed out. In fact, I saw some other bucks earlier on in the week that they're hard horned. Like I saw this one buck. He's a 3x4 with a, you know, he's basic mainframe 3-point with like a kicker off one side. He was hard horned. He's with 5 other bucks that are still in velvet, and like he is running. I mean, he is pushing those suckers. Oh yeah. I mean,
hormones are flying.
Yeah. He is he can't walk past a tree without raking it. And then every single buck that gets within a foot of him, he's hooking them.
Oh, I love
like
it.
He is just sticking them with an antler, you know, like, oh, check these hard antlers I got going on, you know? So, they're all real grayed out at this point, all the bucks. So I see these 2 bucks, and I'm like, okay, that one's definitely big framey buck. I get a little video of him, even though it's kind of hard to see. But I'm thinking, yeah, that's the buck, you know? And then,
did you get excited? Like
I was excited. Yeah. But
like,
then,
holy shit, I found him.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm having a holy shit moment for sure. Like I found him, but then just like, this country is, I mean, I've bow hunted this country before. It's really hard to kill a big buck with a bow on this area. I feel like it's pretty tough. It's just, It's thick.
It's not made for it.
No, it's real rocky. It's real rough country. It's tough bow hunt. It's not like your typical alpine high country mule deer hunt, you know, where you're putting a buck to bed above timberline, you know, and you've got decent vegetation and some of those like ground, you know, growing pines where you can like stalk in, and it's thick. It's not like your typical high country mule deer hunt. So I watch them until dark. They kind of work around onto this face. I'm like, I'm just going to stay down in here. So that night I just dropped into the bottom below it and just stayed down in there. I got up the next morning. You know, I was pretty excited. Didn't sleep too great that night because I'm pumped, you know, and I'm like, what could potentially happen? And so the next morning before light, you know, maybe an hour before light, I hike back up to the top where I can glass back onto this face, and I get up there and it's just like gray light, and I pick up a deer and it's like 30 yards from where I'd last seen it the night before. So I throw on the spotter, wait for it to get light enough to see, and like I pick him up and it's him, and he's just all by himself at this point.
So now you know 100%
it's him. Yeah, for sure. I know it's him. I can see kicker. I can see everything, you know. I'm like, and he's framey. I mean, yeah. So I can watch him. I watch him. And it's cold, like wind's blowing. It's like you're saying.
Yeah, it was cold that weekend.
Yeah, cold blowing in. I mean, windy. Many times I wished I'd had my puffy pants, you know. And the other thing about watching a big deer like that, and you're trying to figure out how to make a stalk and make it work, is that like you just do not dare take your eyes out of the spotter because they can disappear just so quick, you know. Yeah. And he's kind of feeding up under some cliffs, and he's kind of working through some pine and some aspen, and I'm just watching him and watching him. So I watch him all morning till 9:15, and he works his way up underneath these ledges, and he kind of goes into this pine pocket and beds down, and I can kind of see one side of him. I can see what I think is his body, and I'm just watching him. At this point, it's like 9:30. And I think, you know, we've talked before, but I think with mule deer, it seems like anyway, you've got kind of they'll bed mid-morning, and it seems like they'll get up and rebed. And so
they got like an hour of
maybe an
first
hour.
bed, and then they rebed.
Yeah, so I'm kind of working it through in my mind, like, do I make a move now or do I wait? And so I ultimately just decide to wait. I'm like, I'm just going to wait and see if he gets up and moves and then rebeds, you know, because I'm by myself. I don't have anybody to spot for me or anything like that to say, hey, he moved. So I make this decision, and like, it's so hard. And I've had this like history with big mule deer, especially spot and stock. Like I almost feel this intimidation factor. Like I want that animal so bad. Like I'm really scared I'm going to mess it up, you know? Like
so it holds you back.
It's almost easier just to sit there and watch him, because then you know you're not going to screw it up, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know if you felt that.
Absolutely. No question. Yeah. When you're watching one, it's like, if I don't push him, then I know I still have it. But if I do and I mess it up,
he's
done.
It's
done. Over.
Yeah, I won't see him again. Yeah. Yep. So I just decide I'm going to sit here. I'm going to take the chance. I'm going to wait him out and just see if he gets up and rebed. So I kind of move a little bit where I can a little bit more clearly see into that pocket, and he gets up and he starts feeding again about 10 o'clock, 10:15. And he feeds like right out into the sunlight, and he's right below these ledges, and he's just like feeding along, and he's all by himself.
There's no chance you could have made it by that time?
Maybe. I might have. I could have, maybe, potentially.
Were you thinking like, oh shit, if I was just on that one ledge there?
Because when he gets up and he starts feeding, I'm like, at that point, I'm like, where's he going to end up? Is he going to wrap around the backside? Is he going to just, because sometimes they'll do that. Like sometimes they'll just cut country and, you know, they'll move out of sight. And I'm thinking, I potentially screwed up my opportunity here. But he feeds over, he kind of feeds over into this little patch, and he's just kind of feeding, and I can see bits and pieces of him. And then I'm thinking, that's what I'm thinking. I think he's going to wrap around and disappear out of my life, you know? And I'm like, well, guess we'll just be here again tomorrow, the next 3 or 4 days. And like, I think I told Porter, I think I told a lot of people, like, if I find this buck, you know, I'm going to call this buck the roommate buck, because I'm moving in with him. Yeah, because you just don't get a chance at a buck like this, right? So as luck would have it, he kind of stopped, turned around, and he just actually fed right back the same way that he came. And he fed this time back up underneath the ledges, and he actually moved up a little bit higher, like into this cut. So you've got two cliffs, like one to his left and then one kind of to his right, and he kind of moves right up into this pocket. So he's like almost between these two ledges, you know?
Like a pointed notch within those two?
Yep. And there's a patch of timber, like a stringer of timber that runs up into this notch between these two cliffs. And then there's kind of towards the bottom end of it, there's a big standing dead Doug fir. And he goes up and he beds right down underneath this big dead Doug fir, which is just a stroke of luck. Cause like, and that's the other thing is like, I mean, I think it takes some skill, but it takes a shitload of luck.
Always does.
It takes so much luck.
Everything with success involves luck.
Yeah, it takes so much luck. So he beds underneath this big lone, you know, standing dead Doug fir, which is like a really nice reference point. So I watch him bed, and it took me about a minute of watching him bed to just like, that's it.
Full send.
Full send. Yeah, I'm going. And so I throw everything in my backpack and I just take off and I dive off into the bottom. I get into the timber and I work the timber all the way around the backside of this peak. And I get around the backside of the peak and I hike straight to the top of the peak, and I'm like busting ass because I'm just thinking like, I don't know how much time I've got, you know. I just want to cut country, as much country as I can. You want to make hay where the sun's shining, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I hiked to the top of the peak.
And losing sight. When you finally decide to take your eyes off and you're blind, you're moving, then it like, holy shit, the whole time going over there.
Yeah. You're going in blind. I got no idea if he's going to,
feeling.
I don't know if he's going to be there or not, but I know he was there. And I think, you know, I've probably got at least an hour and a half, 2 hours potentially, you know, maybe more. And then the other thing is like, I looked at the landscape, like I took a picture with my phone just for reference. I took the little marker on your phone and I made a dot like right at the base of that tree, and I zoomed in on it, took 2 pictures just so I could be like reference point, you know, once I get around the backside, I want to have some sort of reference point. The other thing is like, I didn't quite know if I could get down above him because like it's cliffs, but looking at the cliffs, it's like cliff bands, you know what I mean? They kind of run out towards him. And I thought, I don't know if I can get there, but I think it's probably my best chance based on the direction the wind's blowing. I did think like at one point, like, oh, maybe I could sneak up this side. Cause it looks to me like if he does feed out in the evening, there's probably only one direction he can go. But then I got the wind blowing straight from them. So I was like, I can't do that because I'll definitely blow him out. So I got to thinking like the only chance I've got is to really come down on top.
This is while you're walking,
Yeah. Like I'm just, well, as I was getting my stuff together, I'm trying to work my way through. I'm thinking my way through the different scenarios of like, what are my possibilities here? I like the element of surprise, whether it's like he gets up and feeds out to you or if you can actually stalk in, you know, above him when he's still bedded. But those are kind of my 2 options at the point. I knew I couldn't come up from underneath him because he's bedded looking down, straight downhill, and it's like steep as a cow's face, you know.
Yeah, the pictures show how steep it was.
Yeah. So I just take off. I get to the top of the hill, and I'm like, if I'm gonna get to the top, and like if I'm cliffed out and I can't get out above him, then I will reverse and come back and just like reassess and try to hope that he feeds out to me. But I get to the top, I drop my pack, I drop my walking pole, my trekking pole,
walking
stick. I think that's what I said to you. Yeah, I dropped my walking stick. So anyway, I drop both of those, and I start trying to work down through these cliffs.
How long do you think it took you to get there?
Probably an hour and a half, maybe an hour.
So it took some time.
Yeah. He's been bedded there for a while. And I just start working through these cliffs, and like, I don't like heights. And there were a few times where I was just like, I don't know. This is probably pretty stupid. Like, this is pretty dumb. Like, I could probably fall, you know, but then you keep, I'm
thinking
like,
about the buck that's
I'm thinking
bedded.
there's a giant buck that's just bedded right there. And the whole time I can see the top of that big dead Doug fir, like out there just below these cliffs, you know? And I'm like, that buck, I know that buck is bedded right at the base of that. So I just kept working, going slow as I could, you know, try not to get too in my head about the cliffs and stuff. And I just worked down, and I eventually worked to like a shelf. So there's probably like a 4 or 5 foot shelf that I can kind of work onto. And I kind of edge out to my left of it, and I can see this big dead Doug fir. And I get to a point where I can get kind of close to the edge, and I like lean out and I like look down, and he's just bedded right below me. Like,
has no idea.
Like he's, like he's got his head to the left, and his whole body's kind of J-hooked, you know, around the backside of this tree. And he's just bedded there. He's got his leg tucked. He's got his back legs tucked. He's got his front legs out, you know, like deer do. And, I can just see both sides. And
did you have a mini panic attack right there?
My heart was pounding through my chest.
That's that first that first glimpse like that in range too is just that like your body just goes into shock immediately.
Yeah,
like,
my heart is just pounding through my chest, and I kind of lean back a little bit, and then I pull out my rangefinder and I lean forward again and I range him, and I think true yardage, he's like 39 yards, but with the cut, it's like 26. So it's like 13-yard cut
on a 40-yard shot.
On a 40-yard shot. So it's like pretty much. So
you're not bullshitting. It's cliffs.
Yeah,
like straight up.
Yeah,
cliffs.
I'm like shooting straight down pretty much. And at that point, I like lean back and I'm trying to talk myself through the scenario. Like working through the situation.
What'd you say to yourself?
Just calm down.
That's all you were saying?
Just relax. Yeah, calm down. It's totally okay. This is going to work out. Just I'm envisioning like what's going to happen.
Did you let yourself envision you shooting it? Did you let your mind go there?
Yeah, and I'm thinking it through, thinking through the whole thing. Shot. I remember I immediately just dialed my sight to 26, set the pin exactly at 26. I leaned out and I ranged him again just to double check it. And at that point, I leaned back and I'm thinking like, okay, what are my possibilities here? Should I just shoot him in his bed? And I'd peek out over and I'd look at him and I'd think, essentially if I shoot him, I'm going to shoot him. If he's bedded, it'd be like pretty much right in the spine, like back, which I don't love.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the margin of error, like, inch either side of his spine, you know what I mean? Shooting straight down. And I just got to thinking, what's the wind doing? The wind's blowing probably 10 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour straight up the face. So it's blowing straight out of the south. So I'm thinking about that. And I'm thinking, I'm pretty good. Like there's no way he's going to win me. I'm at the top of this, So I just think, I'm going to let him stand and at least give me, if he stands, I'll probably get like another 3 or 4 inches this side of his back strap or his spine, that I can pop an arrow. But then you're also thinking like, what if he just blows out?
Yeah. What if he just stands and goes?
Yeah. What if he just stands and goes? So I'm kind of freaking out and kind of working it through. But ultimately I just decided like, I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait for him to stand. And so I leaned back against the ledge, and from the ledge, like I could still see his right side. So I couldn't really see much of his body, but I could still see his right side, which is great because I'm like out of his peripheral.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm going to be able to see if he stands up because I'll be able to see that right side. Usually if deer, like a big buck or any buck, I guess for that matter, like if they're not bumped, like he's not going to I don't think he's going to get up and run. Like he's just going to get up and stand and stretch.
Take a piss.
Yeah, take a leak. Yes, I'm going to have like that window. So I'm waiting and I wait. It's about 35 minutes, I think. So it's just before noon. And I'm just kind of lean back and I'm going through all the steps in my head, level my bow, grip, release, everything. I'm like running through it. I think I told you like, it was probably a really good thing that, I had that half hour, 35 minutes to just get my shit in a pile. Cause like I was freaking out when I looked out and saw him. Cause I'm like bedded. I mean, he's bedded right below me.
I personally, I know me, I would have like had body convulsions at that first sight of like, oh, he's still there.
Yeah.
And it's just like that immediate shock, uncontrollable body. Yeah. And then to have that time to be like, okay, he's here, the wind, this, okay. And then you can start,
working it through. So it was a good thing that I had like that 30 minutes, 35 minutes to like kind of collect my thoughts. And then, I'm just lean back and I've got my bow ready. I've got my grip good. I've got the bottom cam just sitting on my thigh. I've got my, release on the string, everything ready to go. So if anything happens, I'm ready to go. But I see his right side stand up and I see him stand up and immediately he like turns 180. So now his head's facing to the right. And you've seen deer like, reach back with their antler and like scratch their nuts, Yeah,
it looks fantastic. I wish I had a little instrument to do that so easily.
Yeah, so he lifts his back leg and he takes his left side and he kind of reaches back, which means he's like turned dead away from me at that point. And I was like,
he's hidden behind his body. Yeah.
Yep. I'm thinking like this is a perfect time. So I draw my bow perfectly level. And I kind of inch forward. I'm still trying to keep weight on my back foot because I don't want to fall over the cliff because it's probably like, I don't know, it's 40, 50 foot drop. I don't know. It's straight downhill.
I mean, that much of an angle cut on that short of a shot. That's steep.
So I'm still trying to keep like the weight on my back foot. Things I remember about it is like drawing level and then bending over at my hips and just like, I remember thinking, holy shit, I'm like still going. Like I'm still bending, still bending.
Don't see him.
Still bending, still bending, still bending. And I get clear over. And I remember thinking like level your sight. Cause I know if you're shooting a steep angle, you know, your level, your axis is super important. So I remember double checking my bubble, make sure it was level. You know, pin hits him. And I just remember like watching the pin, watching the buck, and then just shot broke. And you hear that like that close, you just hear that, you know, like it's that sucking sound, you know, and he just explodes, like just explodes out of there. Like, I mean, he is covering like 12 feet in a bound, just boom, you know? And I remember, like, you ever seen a big buck when they run away, they just like ripples.
Oh yeah.
Like you see their hide just like ripple, you know? And
a lot of power.
Yeah. A lot of power. And I remember him just like rippling as he's like going down this hill. And he's
deer aren't known for that because they have a lot of reserved power. They don't show it very often, but man, they got a lot of power when they decide to want it.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just bounding and he's like covering, I mean, like 12, 14 foot bounds. He's just like, boom.
Well, he had to have been, I mean, yeah, death run for one. And then two, like shocked. He probably, he thought he was the safest thing ever. Yeah. You know what I mean? So he was probably like the surprise of that for him too. He was gone.
Yeah. So he goes straight down this hill and like the cliff kind of wraps around to the left. And I watch him go through this patch of timber. And as he goes around the edge of this cliff, the bottom end of the cliff, I just catch a glimpse of him. And then he's gone. He's out of sight. And I'm just like listening. I lean back against the ledge and I'm shaking. Like at that point,
I would hope so.
Yeah. During the shot, I'm actually pretty calm thinking back on it. But like it's that post shot.
The adrenaline dumps. After.
I mean, it dumps. Like it's going through my feet. My feet are numb. Yeah. Like I'm like gripping the rock, you know, I'm like leaning back and I'm like trying to, you know, catch so I don't fall off the cliff. Yeah. And I'm just kind of trying to collect and I'm listening and I think I hear him go down. So at that point I'm like, okay, I think you're like replaying the whole scenario. Like you're replaying the shot, you're playing like where the pin was at. And like I talked about this on my podcast is like, I think one of the best things that you can do like post shot is just reflect on how you felt about the shot.
Your immediate feeling,
your immediate reaction. So like, is your immediate reaction good? Like, yep, that felt great. He's dead. Or like,
yeah.
I think, you know, most of the time.
I think, you know, every time if you're true with yourself.
Yeah.
Like that first immediate gut feel. How was it?
Yeah. Yeah. So my gut feeling was like really good. I'm like, I think that was right behind the pin. I think he's dead. And, I mean, I was so excited. I took probably 5 or 10 minutes, just like standing there, like leaned back against the ledge to like, let my feet get feeling again. You know, I'm like, I don't want to go back up through here. So then I picked my way back up through the cliffs and got up through the top and then popped up over where I picked up my backpack and my trekking pole. And then I had to hike all the way down off the backside and around the peak, around to the face and the ledges. And I come back up along the edge of the ledges and I made my way to the bed and, you know, found his bed. His bed was a big, I mean, he'd definitely, there'd been definitely been deer there before. It was a big flat spot. And, you know, my arrow is like sticking straight out of the ground. So it's pegged in the ground and it's just, you know, fully coated in blood.
The good blood.
Good blood, yeah. I felt really good about it. You know, picked up my arrow. I sat down there in his bed and I gave it like another 30 minutes just in case. I don't want to bump him, you know. And then, start on the blood trail. And like I was telling you, I mean, I didn't really even have to follow blood because just the divots in the ground were just like so deep because he exploded out of there and just all the body weight. He's a big body deer, you know. So I'm just following tracks and I follow it down through that little patch of timber and I kind of work my way around the edge of the cliff and there's like this big south facing slope at that point and I'm kind of like working along. And at that point, like those big divots were gone and I was just like tracking blood and I was like, okay, he's definitely slowed to like a walk, you know? And then I'm just like blood trailing. I'm like looking for blood and like
good blood trail.
Yeah, pretty good. Good enough. It was pretty easy to follow, you know, I'm like spot. And, like periodically you're picking up your eyes, you know, looking out ahead of you to see if you can see anything. And then just like, I pick my head up, you know, I'm looking at blood. I pick my head up and like, I just see this big right side sticking out of a bush. And like that right side sticking out of that bush, like I don't know if like people listen, but if you ever walk up on like a big animal, like a really big animal, I don't know how to explain. How do you explain it?
I don't know. It feels like you'll never do it again. Is kind of your first thought. Yeah. And then I don't know. It's really overwhelming, and just when a true big animal too, when it doesn't make sense how big the horn is or the antler is compared to the body. So you're like, am I seeing this?
Yeah.
Like, is that really what it looks like?
Yeah.
Am I seeing this right? You know?
Yeah. I don't know how to explain it other than it's just like, I think you have some expectation of what the animal is going to be because you've seen it and you've watched it, but then to see it like right there in front of you, and you know, this right side is sticking out of this bush and you can see his body kind of laying there. I don't know how to explain. It's just like overwhelming. Beyond overwhelming. Yeah. Just, you know, I walked up to him and I mean, he just grew. I don't know how to explain it other than he just grew and just so heavy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I called you. I called
FaceTimed me.
I FaceTimed Lorenzo.
I was sitting at my desk.
Yep.
I was sitting at my desk here in the office, and you and I talk. We talk quite a bit. We call each other, all this stuff. But I mean, when you see FaceTime with one of your hunting buddies, you know.
Have I ever FaceTime you before?
Never. And you just know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I get a FaceTime from Clay or you or anyone for that matter, my cousin, like you know right when you see it. I'm like, holy shit. And it's middle of the day.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit. Here
1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool, man. I just, you know, I called my brother. I called my dad. I called home. I just sat there and kind of just took it in, but
soaked it in.
Yeah. Big deer. Like, I don't know if I'll ever top that one. Like as far as, and I mean, I've had people ask like, oh, what's he score? And you know, it's cool. He's like 205. He's big deer, but most of the time I'm just like thrilled with that entire experience.
Yeah.
Like from being able to find him to then, like when you're talking like spot and stock mule deer.
Solo too.
Yeah. Like just a classic stock coming above cliffs, shoot him essentially in his bed, you know, like it's the classic experience. So.
I have not had an experience like that. That is like
either.
A dream experience for me. I've never had that.
Yeah. I think I've told a few people, like, I guess I can quit hunting now because like
come on now, Trail.
I guess I can quit hunting because
come on.
I got a 350 bull last year and now I've killed a big buck with my bow. I guess I can just wrap it up. But
you're on a little bit of a tear.
Yeah, it was good, man. It was fun.
Were you when you were up on that cliff? I meant to ask you. Were you standing the whole time?
Yeah.
You were never sitting. You were always standing. That's how you could get that angle.
Yeah, I couldn't have seen him any lower. I had to actually like stand up to like I had to get like to within probably 6 inches of the edge of that to where I could look over and actually see him.
Did you have anything on the back of you for skylight?
No.
For like skyline? You were full skyline?
I had cliffs behind me, so I was like essentially on a ledge.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and like. So when I came up and over the top, like he was tucked in below. So essentially like I was hidden completely from him the whole way until like, in fact, I couldn't, it's like I said, I could only see his right side if I was leaned back, you know, I had to get like to the edge to actually like look over and see his whole body. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a dream setup right there.
It was perfect.
That's a dream setup.
And that's why I go back to say like, so much of it is just luck. Like, I probably could have shot him the first time he'd bedded from where I was because he was within maybe, 15, 20 yards, just another little clump. But where he was at was just perfect. Just pure luck.
And then to hide his eyesight behind his body.
The whole screen. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, you can't. It's like a movie, right? You can't write it any better than that. So it's pretty cool.
Think I'll have that on a sheet?
Yeah, you could.
Above in the cliffs.
You could.
Bedded.
You really
That's
could.
where my mind is wandering to those places.
You're already beyond elk and headed to sheep.
I'm into this. I am into this elk hunt, no question. But like I've said it since the beginning, I was in the best shape of my life going into that surprise surgery thing, which was a good thing because now I'm still ahead of the game because of that. And it was all because of the sheep hunt. It was all for that. So, but yeah, man, that's like
elk and sheep.
It's a dream setup right there.
Still a lot of hunting to be done.
Still a lot of hunting to be done.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
It's funny, like when I drew this tag and then like I've got this Nevada deer tag, and I've always said this, like the best deer tag that you can possibly get is the one that's closest to home. You know, regardless of what tag it is that you have, you know, if you can put the time and effort and be out there.
In those consecutive days I fully agree with that. There's nothing worse than being in a hunt 3-4 days when you just start, you know, you're just starting to get a feel, and then you got to go home for a week. It's like you just lost it all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's special, but I mean, I don't know. I'm excited about it. It was over. And like I've told my brother since I got home, I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of sad now that it is over. Like
it's always the case.
It's the thing that you want, you hope for, and then it happens and it works out. And then, you know, the animal's dead. I run down to the taxidermist, and it's just like that whole next day, you're just like, oh, I can't believe that's over. You know, I feel kind of sad.
Tag's done. You can't even go hunting if you want to.
Yeah. I kind of feel sad about it, you know, but it'd be good. I'll have another chance the next couple of years. So hopefully we can turn something else out. That
buck is incredible.
Yeah.
I love big, heavy bucks too.
Yeah. Super heavy. Yeah. He's really, really heavy. I don't think I'll ever kill a buck as heavy as he is.
I don't mind you saying that, because that's probably true. Yeah. That buck's those mass measurements are insane.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man.
But you never know you
never know. It might turn up.
You never know. Could be on another completely random tag, you know, like you never know. That's the funnest part about hunting, especially when you can do it, like you said, close to home, whatever. You can put the time in, you can look, all that stuff, or put in the consecutive days. You never know.
Yeah. It's interesting is I've had probably 2 or 3 other guys reach out that have got video of this buck from the summer. So there's definitely other guys. They were all elk hunting.
No deer hunters?
No deer hunters. Didn't run into another deer hunter, but other guys hunting elk, you know, that were out scouting. And then the one guy actually killed a great bull that I'd seen maybe a week ago. Probably 370, I would say. Yeah, shit. Giant bull guy killed it. Yeah, it's an absolute giant bull. But those guys have been super cool to send video and, you know, swap info. So it's been pretty cool.
Did they spend a lot of time out there hunting those bulls?
Yeah, oh yeah. I would drive by their camp on the road, and I think pretty much from opening weekend on, they've had a camp and there's been guys there. So they definitely put the time and effort into, but
that's a giant bull.
Dude, big giant bottom end bull. But it was fun. Like that one weekend, the bulls were talking in the morning, and, you know, I watched that bull of an evening. He was pushing probably 6 cows, and, you know, there were 2 other bulls down the bottom that were bugling and talking that night. But I saw a lot of bulls that were 330 to 360, 370 class, like just good bulls.
Even really?
Yeah. Yeah, good bulls. It's a good year.
It is a great year.
I was really worried that like maybe the year wasn't going to turn out to be like as good a growth as we all kind of expected, you know, because it seems really, really late, you know, like a lot of the growth seemed late to me, but it seemed like a lot of them must have packed it on in the last few weeks.
Man, glassing up at 370 bulls, no joke.
Yeah, he was ripping too.
So fun to look at.
Yeah. Big bottom. He's like one of the prettiest bulls. So anyway. So now,
how many elk tags? There's very few elk tags.
I think there's only 13 archery elk tags. Yeah, total. I don't know.
Fun hunt.
Yeah, I don't know how many. This is probably giving away a bunch of information. People will figure out where it's at, but that's the thing. I don't really care too much. I mean, I don't want to outright say the unit. I mean, people know. They'll know. Yeah. But yeah, and I mean, I've said this a lot when in regards to other bucks. You know, it's like, you know, this buck, he's taught me a lot. In terms of like, don't overlook areas just because of where they're at, you know, like just because they're in close proximity to a road or camps, it doesn't necessarily mean that a big buck can't be there. They just may be using that landscape in a way that people aren't seeing them mostly, you know? Yeah. So don't overlook. So it's taught me, I don't know, every buck, I feel like every animal kind of teaches you something. I learned a lot.
When I was a lucky shithead kid with a Henry's tag in my pocket, when I was 18 going on 19. The buck I killed, which was the biggest in the unit, you could have glassed him from the road. Everyone just drove by.
People just driving by.
Just drove by. That's what I remember, is just a lot of cars driving by. And we had hiked in on that front face, and just cars driving by all the time. Yeah. And there was another giant 4-point in there. And yeah, that was a long time ago. It's obviously a very different place now, but like, that's what I remember. I'm like, man, you could see this buck from right there on the road. You don't even have to hike. Like you literally see him.
Yeah, given where this buck was, I would assume that at some point he probably was visible from the road, but he was mostly just living on the backside of some country. It just makes you think like how many deer, you know, animals you probably drive by that are just one little nook or some little cranny just out of sight, just on the backside. And it's kind of taught me to look at a landscape just through a different perspective, you know, like, okay, I can't overlook things, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, it's good.
It's crazy how that happens.
It was good. But we'll, I mean, we'll kind of wrap it up.
Unless you want to talk about your bull.
I don't know. People can watch that, right?
I agree. That's a great film.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, film dropping Dog Days. We called it Dog Days just because it was hotter than hell.
When you drew your tag.
Yeah.
That was the tag you were waiting on.
Yeah. Burned my points on the Utah elk tag. And, you know, that's my best bull to date. You know, that hunt was pretty much everything I wanted out of a hunt. You know, a lot of encounters, a lot of elk, new unit that I'd never hunted. And then it was really cool to see an animal and then, you know, kind of just keep working at it and then have it come together on a bull that I'd seen that I really liked and really wanted. You know, you almost felt, it sounds cliche, but it's like you almost develop this like faux relationship with this animal.
What I liked in that film is you can genuinely feel you when you're like, I really like that bull.
I
really like that. I'm gonna kill that bull. And you could see you like you really did like that bull and you were going after it.
Yeah, that bull, watching him that evening, he had those cows. He was just out there in the open right before dark and he was bugling and kind of working his cows. And he's got like, you know, 56-inch beams, long beams, you know. Awesome. I like the character that he busted off that one side, you know.
He's a fighter.
Yeah, he's fighters kind of getting after it. And then to have the encounter that I did with him the night before I actually killed him, you know, he kind of came along the creek bed and he came in right above us and he was like 90 yards. But just, you know, cows and calves and really no opportunity. And the shot just didn't feel good at that distance. And then, you know, my camera guy was behind me and, you know, if the main herd would have continued the way that these two elk that came up behind us did, like it would have been a chip shot. But, you know, essentially I remember at one point I was kind of standing in the creek and I looked back kind of towards my camera guy to see, you know, like what the herd was doing because they were kind of working their way along just right above us. And like I looked back over my right shoulder and there was that embankment to where the bank came down to the river. And I remember this spike standing there. And essentially he had his nose like hanging out right over the top of the camera guy. Like I could see this nose of this spike and I could see the camera guy, Kayam, just like standing there. And it was like, elk Kayam, like hanging.
It's like a Jurassic Park scene where the dinosaur comes over.
Dude, and it is exactly it. He had his neck kind of stretched out, you know, and Kayam's just like standing dead still, just like trying not to blow this whole situation up. And this elk's got his like nose stuck out and he's kind of like sniffing the air, you know, like working it back and forth. And I just remember thinking this is going to blow up, you know, because he's going to smell him. But I mean, he didn't smell him and he just like, he knew enough that like, it, you know, wasn't right. Yeah, like he could see us standing there and he's like, this isn't right, you know? Yeah. So he kind of turned and he went back up the ridge and he kind of worked back to the herd and then he took the whole herd up the canyon. They all kind of disappeared, him and a cow, but
never truly busted though.
Never truly busted. And then, yeah, I mean, the next day we worked back down into that same little pocket and it was just devoid of elk that morning. And then I'd seen another bull with some cows go up the other side. And I think if you watch the film, there's a point there where I'm just like, I don't want to go up that other side, but I'm going because I mean, it's just, again, it's just straight up and you're, I don't know, probably 1,500 foot from bottom to top and a half mile. It's just straight up. But yeah, I just made a run up that in the afternoon and then ended up calling that bull in and killing him. But I mean, just fun hunt. It's been, I don't know, hunting always makes me nostalgic. Like I get the most nostalgic, you know, and it's cool to watch that film. You know, my kids got to watch, I showed my kids and it was really cool to be able to share that with them in a little way.
I appreciated, you're a genuine guy, but I appreciated in the moment of like, just genuine. I like that bull.
Yeah.
I really like that bull. I'm going to kill that bull.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when I shot that bull, like I just melted. Yeah. Like I had a real visceral reaction to it, just that it all worked out because it's so physical. I mean, sometimes hunting is not, and sometimes like that hunt, elk hunt, archery elk hunting, I feel like, especially the way I hunt, you hunt, it's just so demanding.
It's part death and part hunting.
It's just so demanding. Yeah. And I had so many like close calls leading up to it that just like didn't come together. You know, you look back onto it, and I'm not a guy that really believes that like things are, you know, quote unquote meant to be.
Yeah.
But, you know, I almost shot a bull a day or 2 days before that, and it was a good bull, not a giant bull, but a good bull. You know, I'd have been happy with him, but the way that it worked out, killing that bull, the way that I killed him that day, it's like almost serendipitous, you know?
Absolutely.
So, anyway, yeah, check that out.
And then the whole luck thing, I mean, shit, the age-old saying with luck is, what is it? It's the road of preparation and opportunity. When they meet, that's the definition of luck.
Yep.
I mean, if you don't work at it, you ain't going to do shit in the moment anyways.
Yeah.
So you can't really get lucky.
Yeah, you got to work at it.
If you don't practice, you don't you know, go through those systems.
Yeah, I think you have to work and work and work at it. You work, you know, even during the hunt and then preseason prep, you work and work at it. And then, you know, you have to have
paths
cross, then it comes together.
Yeah, oh shit, I got lucky. You know?
Yeah. I remember, I mean, I always say it, like, you just, everything with bow hunting, you just never, there's so many times where you're just like, this thing is impossible. It's literally, it's like trying to hit I don't golf, but it feels to me like it must be similar. Like to hit a hole in one, you're like, this is never going to happen.
Very similar.
And
honestly, it's
all
very
of a sudden
similar.
it just does.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can't believe it. And I think that's why the sense of satisfaction is so
That's why
intense.
I have my son. Did you know that story? We'll give people a really in-depth,
Yeah.
inappropriate story here. I got 2 holes in one day, apparently.
Oh, I see what you did there.
hit my first hole in one on a golf course.
Yeah.
And then I got my second hole in one with my wife.
No way.
And that's why Turtle's here.
You have to tell him that when he gets older.
Oh, there's a trophy, the whole thing.
Yeah.
A little golf ball glued it on top
Really?
of a champagne bottle. Oh yeah.
On a par what?
3.
Okay.
Par 3. Number 7 at Summit Course here in Vegas.
And just hole in one.
Just hole in one.
That's incredible. That's what it feels like though at
Had
times.
my wife with me.
Really?
My brother-in-law with me.
Oh my gosh.
And like as the ball was peaking, my brother-in-law goes, or no, sorry. As the ball was peaking, my brother-in-law goes, man, that's right on it. My wife goes, I think that's going to go in. You know, it's a woman thing. Like she doesn't really know. And it's like still only halfway there. Freaking lands, zips right back into the hole. I'm like, holy shit, went in. You know what I mean?
That is incredible.
You play and play and play, and it never happens. It never happens. You hit all these good shots, never happens. Hunting's the exact same way.
Yep.
It's like you make a good stock, it all goes well, and then for whatever reason, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. And then the one day, it's like, well, fuck, that couldn't have been any more perfect. Like, how the hell did that just happen? You know?
Yep. The other thing about them is I feel like the more you work at it and you have a little bit of success, that's the thing that, like, after I've shot this mule deer, I look back on a lot of deer that I've messed up on, that I've blown up. And I think I'm starting to look at it differently. The amount of confidence that I have right now, it's like tenfold more.
Yeah.
Like I just did that and that's how I did it. And I can totally do it. And I could do it again if I wanted to. And I feel that way about.
That's a good feeling too.
Yeah. Oh, it's the best feeling. It's just like you feel unstoppable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good feeling to have right now going into a few more hunts the rest of the year.
Are you going to change any equipment for your late season archery mule deer?
Yeah. I'll have to have some serious cold weather gear.
No, I'm on bow equipment, hardware equipment.
Yeah.
You are?
I am.
That's what I was thinking, if you would change anything.
Yeah. Yeah, probably be tinkering with a new bow, just because I like bows and there's one to tinker with. So probably be tinkering with a new bow maybe. And again, I may end up going back to a
heavier arrow. You gonna change anything?
Same arrow. In fact, I might go a little lighter. To be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Even in the late season?
Yeah, I might pick up a little speed just to see. You know, I think the likelihood. You think late season archery deer hunting, at least when I work it through in my mind. Not that I've ever done it, other than like Arizona. You know, but you got to think that shot opportunities on a November deer hunt with a bow, I would think for the most part, you're looking at an animal that's probably going to be on its feet feeding. Because I don't think you're going to put a deer, a buck, and a bunch of does together where you're going to end up stalking in on them and shooting one like essentially out of its bed. The way that I picture it, at least in my mind, the most likely scenario is going to be an animal that's up and feeding and like moving in a direction, you know, rutting does, you know, and you're trying to
That's a really good
yeah.
point.
So you're thinking either ambush or, stalking them while they're up feeding, moving.
Potentially a little longer shot.
A little longer shot, animal that's on its feet, maybe a little more aware, a little bit more alert. So I'm actually thinking of lightening the arrow up and maybe picking up a few feet per second, maybe upping my poundage on a bow and shooting a little faster.
That's a good thought. Yeah, I was going the opposite with that, but I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're on their feet all day long in November.
And rutting and moving and
yeah.
You're dealing with more animals. You're gonna have a herd of does probably with a buck, that are more alert, more aware. So I'm thinking of trying to pick up a few feet per second. And as far as that goes, I mean, other than that, I think I'll probably stick with the same, sight, this UltraView sight and kind of utilize, because I think I should be able to dial.
Yeah. I would think so.
Yeah.
For sure.
Even though I love a 5-pin for elk hunting.
I can't get away from mine.
Yeah, I do love a 5-pin for elk hunting when you're in tight and they're just moving, So.
And I almost use it as like a range reference too if they are walking and moving. Because if I can stack all the pins on him, I'm like, he's 30, 40 yards. So all the pins just stack right on his body. It's like, okay, I know exactly where he is.
Yep.
You start losing a couple pins, you're like, oh shit, he's out there.
The thing that I don't like with like less pins is the guessing game that you can work in your head.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I think the animal's this far, and then you're trying to think like, okay, what pins do I hold, or what pin do I hold in relation to where he's at? Like, I don't like the guessing game in the moment because my brain gets frazzled.
Yeah. And I don't like splitting pins either. I hate splitting pins. I can't do it.
Gapping pins?
Gapping pins.
I don't mind that, at least as if I have an upper and a lower reference,
I can't do it, man. I don't like it.
What's funny is like I've shot 5 pins for so long, I almost shoot like better with a 5-pin by gapping it than I do with a pin that's actually held on the target. Yeah.
Oh, I'm the exact opposite.
Because I start thinking, I think overthink it too much.
I'm the exact opposite. I'm like like today, Omar and I were shooting and I walked back and there was a bush, so I could put my arrows in the bush, and it ended up being 84 instead of 80. I'm like, oh, just hold 80 at the top. Like I don't even think about the middle. I'm just like 80 pin, top of the vital. And like, that's what
let it rip.
I got to have that. I don't like looking in just the space.
Gotcha. Well, everybody's good to go. We'll report back. We're going to disappear for the next
a little bit,
10 days, 15 days. Brady should be back for the next one.
I got 24 days in the backcountry in the next. 24 out of the next 40 days in the backcountry.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
It's the best time of year.
Best time.
And Brady might be back. I don't know. I know he's back at the end of the month, and I think he's gone again in October a little bit. But I think we should be able to squeak another one with Brady when he gets back in between hunts.
Maybe we'll
catch up on
have some good stuff, because you're leaving elk hunting.
End of the week.
I'm leaving elk hunting. And then maybe we have that week when I get back, and then I'll take off sheep hunt. And I'm hoping to have a banger of a podcast coming back from a sheep hunt.
Yeah. So I would say in the next month, look forward to a lot of podcasts where we're just recapping hunts and talking about hunting and what we learned, and hopefully people dig it. I know it was really fun it's been fun to just hear from people, recap, retell stories, and just kind of relive the hunt. And like I said, to me anyway, it's a special animal, special experience.
I can't wait to see your buck.
Oh, I can't wait to show you.
Cannot wait.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I ran into Branson at the hardware store on the weekend, and he's like, I was just down at the taxidermist this morning. He's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
He's like, I thought that buck was big.
I know, that's the thing with mass bucks. Bucks with mass, it's an in-person thing. It has to be in person to get that.
Yep. Well, big deer.
Congrats, man.
Thanks, man. Congrats to you.
It's a very special thing. I mean, mine's special with the kid and all, but
not every animal's special, man. Yeah. Especially with that experience, that's a really cool opportunity.
That was awesome. That was
just different types, but still, both really cool experiences. So
now I'm adding another one to the.
Yeah.
You're gonna have 3 kids out there. Holy shit.
You'll have all the kids and everybody out there just following around you through the woods, single file.
Yeah. Well, I got to go move into a house so I can leave tomorrow. My wife doesn't kill me.
Good deal. Good luck. Thanks for taking. I know I hit you up originally. I was like, hey, how about Tuesday? And you're like, I'm leaving. Thanks for popping in.
Of course.
Yeah. We hope everybody enjoys it, and good luck to you.
Just got a pregnant wife moving a house. No big deal.
Yeah. And good luck to everybody out there.
Yeah. Good luck.
You guys have some success. Send us your photos, man. I'd love to see it.
Nothing better than seeing those photos.
Yeah.
I love it.
Insiders that are out there, shoot us an email. Let us see how you guys did this year. We'd love to hear some recaps and see some animals hit the ground.
For sure.
Good luck.